Nobody should on the videos, otherwise we'll put it in the waiting room. Repeatedly telling students are doing it.
Good morning, students. Today, we'll start with plant kingdom and animal kingdom. Okay, just give me a second. So Students, before I start the class, I'll tell you, please switch off your cameras. Okay. So that would be good. Thank you. So we'll start with plant kingdom. In plant kingdom, we'll look at the basis on which plants are classified. Okay. And then we look at each part in plant kingdom, their examples, types, modifications, sexual reproduction, and everything in plant kingdom. So the first one, we'll look at the system in which biological classification has taken place. Biological classification has taken place. The first one is artificial system of classification. An artificial system of classification, we'll look at the details and who did it, natural system of classification and phylogenetic system of classification. So the first one, artificial system of classification. Artificial system of classification is one of the earliest systems of classification, which is based on vegetative characters or superficial morphological characters. Understand this, vegetative characters or superficial morphological characters such as habit, color, number of shapes and leaves, etc. So this is Linnaeus artificial system of classification is based on, understand this, androecium structure. So based on the number of androeciums which are there, the adelphous structure, whether it is diadelphous, polyadelphous, what it is, all that would be taken into consideration in Carolus Linnaeus classification. What are the drawbacks? So look at that. They separated closely related species. That means even though they were closely related, just because the androecium is different, they were placed far away from each other. And equal weightage to vegetative and sexual characters, which is not acceptable, because vegetative characters are easily affected by the environment. Understand this, vegetative characters are easily affected by the environment, whereas the sexual characters are not easily affected by the environment. That is one major drawback. So then we go to natural system of classification. Natural system of classification is based on natural affinities among organism. Natural affinities among organism. It considers external features as well as internal features. Remember this, it considers external features as well as internal features. That is ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, and phytochemistry. Ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology, and phytochemistry. Example, classification of flowering plants given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. So remember this, this is very important, by Bentham and Hooker. Then we go to phylogenetic classification. So what is phylogenetic classification? It is based on evolutionary relationship among organisms. It is based on evolutionary relationship among organisms. This assumes that organisms in the same taxa have a common ancestor, So understand this. What are the systems of biological classifications other than these major three? So numerical taxonomy. It is based on all the observable characters. It is carried out using computers. Number and codes are assigned to all characters and their data are processed. Thus, hundreds of characters can be equally considered. Look at this. If the character is present, plus. If it is absent, minus. So based on that, you can see how many similarities can be seen between individual species. This is very important. Then cytotaxonomy. It is based on cytological information like chromosome number, structure, behavior, etc. Next is chemotaxonomy. It uses the chemical constituents of plants. So now we look at the different classes. First one is algae. So what are algae? Algae, they are simple thalloid. What do you mean by thallus? Thallus is an undifferentiated plant body. Autotrophic, they would be able to produce their own food. They are all photosynthetic. Remember this, they are all photosynthetic. Chlorophyll bearing and aquatic, they're either present in fresh or marine organisms. They occur on moist stones, soils, and wood. Some occur in association with fungi, that is lichen. They have a symbiotic association with lichen and with animals. Example on sloth bear. Then we go to the next part. form and size of algae is highly variable. Microscopic unicellular forms are there. Example in the case of Chlamydomonas. Colonial forms in the case of volvox, filamentous forms. Example in the case of Eulothrix. So you have to remember each example. There are a lot of names which come in this chapter. So please do remember their names and their specificity for certain things. Then vegetative reproduction. We look at reproduction. In that vegetative reproduction, it is by fragment. Each fragment develops into a thallus. Asexual reproduction is by spores. Example, zoospores, which are most common. They are flagellated and motile. They germinate and give rise to new plants. Then sexual reproduction through fusion of two gametes. So here, the gametes can be classified based on their structure. Okay. Sexual reproduction. The first one, isogamous. So both the gametes are similar in size. Both the gametes may be similar in size. If they are flagellated, example, they are Chlamydomonas. If they are non-flagellated, they are in Spirogyra. Okay, they are non-motile. They're anisogamous. The male and the female gametes are dissimilar in size. Okay, so that is anisogamy. The last one is oogamy, the fusion between one large, that is non-motile static, which is usually a female gamete, and a smaller motile gamete. Then, what are the benefits of algae? Through photosynthesis, they fix half of total carbon dioxide on the earth and increase the level of dissolved oxygen, especially in water. Then, they are primary producers and the basis of food cycle of all aquatic animals. Then, benefits of algae. About 70 species of marine algae are used as food. So Porphyra, Laminaria, Sargassum, they are used as food. Agar from Gelidium and Gracilaria is used to grow microbes and ice creams and jellies. Then some of them, algin, okay, they're all used commercially. Then chlorella and spirulina are used as protein supplements. Let us look at the different classes of algae. Which are the different classes? Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae, and Rhodophyceae, based on the appearance of color. Okay, based on the appearance of color, Chlorophyceae is green algae, Phaeophyceae is brown algae, and Rhodophyceae is red algae. So here you have to remember the pigments that are present in these individual groups, and also the stored food material, and also the stored food material. Remember this. So different classes. So Chlorophyceae, chlorophyll A and B in chloroplasts. Okay, chlorophyll A and B in chloroplast. Then where is the food stored? It is stored in the pyrenoids. So what is the food stored as? It is stored as starch. So proteins contain proteins besides starch. So they have a rigid cell wall made up of outer cellulose and pectose. So Chlamydomonas, volvox, Eulothrix, Spirogyra, all these, majority of them are unicellular, long filamentous structures. Then reproduction, vegetative, asexual, and sexual. All three, isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous. Then brown algae. So here remember the pigments here: chlorophyll A and C, carotenoids, and xanthophylls. Very important, chlorophyll A and C, carotenoids, and xanthophylls. Here food is stored in the form of fuxoxanthin. So understand this. So vary in color and amount. Fuxoxanthin is one pigment. Then storage in the form of laminarian or mannitol. So they are complex carbohydrates, that is laminarian and mannitol. So they are covered over by a gelatinous coating called as algin. And the protoplasts contain plastids, central vacuole, and nucleus. The plant body is attached to the substratum by a holdfast and has a stalk, that is stipe, and leaf-like photosynthetic organ called as frond. Example, Ectocarpus, Dictyoca, Laminaria, Sargassum, and Fucus. Then we come to reproduction. Same, vegetative, asexual, and sexual. Here all three, isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous. Then Rhodophyceae, they have a red thallus due to a red pigment R phycoerythrin. Very important, R phycoerythrin. Majority of them are marine, especially in warmer areas. They occur in both well-lighted regions close to the surface of water and at great depths in ocean where they have relatively very less light which would penetrate there. Okay, so this is very important. Then food is stored in the form of Floridian starch. Food is stored in the form of Floridian starch. Remember this, it is stored in the form of Floridian starch. Okay, which is very similar to amylopectin and glycogen. Glycogen is a storage material in larger animals, okay, complex animals. So remember this, very important. It is structurally very similar to amylopectin and glycogen. Okay, Floridian starch. Examples: Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Gracilaria, and Gelidium. Then what is the only difference here is about reproduction. There is vegetative reproduction, there is asexual reproduction, but sexual reproduction is only oogamous. Remember that in chlorophyce and phaeophyce, all three are there: isogamy, anisogamy, and oogamy. Here it is only oogamous. Here it is only oogamous. Understand this. Okay. Then we'll go to the next part. Okay, I'm sorry. Just have a look at this once again. So overall, this is what you're supposed to remember. Okay, done. So, so this table, if you remember, it is almost like remembering almost 60-70% of the part of algae. Now we go to the next class, that is Bryophyta. Just a second. So we'll start with Bryophytes now. They are called as amphibians of the plant kingdom. They are called as amphibians of the plant kingdom because they can live in soil but need water for sexual reproduction. Remember this. This is very important. So usually students say they live both on land and water. That is wrong. They need water for sexual reproduction. They occur in damp, humid, and shaded localities. Then body is more differentiated than that of algae. It has a thallus like prostate, erect and attached to substratum by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. They are not roots, they are rhizoids. Understand this, they are not roots, they are rhizoids. Okay, so next we go to the next part. Okay, one second, sorry. So they lack true roots, stem and leaves because they are thallus shaped. They may possess root-like, leaf-like or stem-like structures. Root-like, leaf-like or stem-like structures. The main plant body is haploid. It produces gametes. Hence, it is called a gametophyte. So the main plant body is haploid. Remember, very important. So we'll study about alternation of generation where we say haplontic, diplontic and haplodiplotic. Okay. So remember this, very important. It is haploid and it is a gametophyte. So because the main plant body is a gametophyte, it will bear organs which will produce gametes. The male sex organ is called the antheridium, which produces biflagellate anthrozoids, and the female sex organ archegonium, which is flat shaped and produces a single egg, which is very important. Anthrozoids are and released to water and meet archegonium. An anthrozoid fuses with the egg to form zygote. Fuses with the egg to form zygote. Understand this? Very important. Then go to the next one. Zygotes do not undergo meiosis. Understand this? So once both of them will fuse, understand this. Anthrozoid fuses to egg to form a zygote. The zygote is diploid. So the diploid cells will undergo meiosis immediately. That produces a multicellular body called as the sporophyte. Called as the sporophyte. The sporophyte is not free living, but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from it. So some cells of the sporophyte will undergo meiosis to form haploid spores. Haploid spores. Okay, that germinate to form the gametophyte. So all of them don't undergo meiosis. Understand this? All of them don't undergo meiosis. Only some of them will undergo meiosis to form the gametophyte. Then what is the importance of bryophytes? So some mosses provide food for herbaceous mammals, birds, etc. The species of sphagnum, that is a moss, will provide peat. It is used as fuel. It has water holding capacity so that it is used as packing material for transshipment of live material. Understand this. Then ecologically they are important for ecological succession and xerox succession. You would have studied that they grow on rocks after the lichens. Then they prevent soil erosion. So there are two major types of bryophytes. One is liverworts, the other one is mosses. One is liverwort, the other one is mosses. First, we'll start with liverworts. So they usually grow on moist soil, shady habitats such as bank of streams and all that. Example is Markantia. Thallus is dorsiventrally and closely associated, okay, to the substratum. It is tightly held to the substratum. The leafy members are tiny leaf-like appendages in two rows of stem-like structures. Understand this? Of stem-like structures. Then reproduction is by asexual reproduction, by fragmentation of the thalli or by formation of gemma. Okay, singular is gemma. So the gemma are green multicellular asexual buds that develop in small receptacles, that is gemma cups on the thalli. The gemma are detached from the plant body and germinate to form new individuals. So absolutely asexual. Then sexual reproduction. So I understand this. There are male and female sex organs. So the male and the female sex organs will release their gametes. So basically, the male will release its gametes, which will reach the female sex organ, and then the zygote is formed. But remember, in mosses, this is very important and very unique. They have a stage called as gametophyte. Okay, in the gametophyte, they have two stages. The first stage is the protonema stage, and the second stage is the leafy stage. So what happens in the protonema stage? It develops directly from a spore. Okay, it is creeping, green, branched, and frequently filamentous. Then you have the leafy stage. It develops from the secondary protonema as a lateral bud. They consist of upright, slender axis bearing spirally arranged leaves. They are attached to the soil through multicellular and branched rhizoids. This stage bears sex organs. This is very important. Then vegetative reproduction by fragmentation and budding in secondary protonema. Then sexual reproduction, all of you know. So spores are released, they'll get fertilized. Very easy. So examples. Okay. So one second, we'll start with the next one, pteridophytes. And the last one, pteridophytes and gymnosperms. Pteridophytes. They include horsetails and ferns. They include horsetail and ferns. They are found in cool, damp, shady places. Some flourish well in sandy and soil conditions. Evolutionary, they are the first terrestrial plants to possess vascular tissues. So understand this, they are the first one to possess vascular tissues, pteridophytes. Okay. So in bryophytes, the dominant phase is the gametophyte, which is differentiated to two root stem and all that. But here, so here the body is differentiated to root stem and leaves easily, and also vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem. So till here we didn't have any vascular tissue. The leaves of pteridophytes are small microphyls as in selaginella and large macrophyll as in ferns. Okay. So what is the economic importance of pteridophytes? They're used for medicinal purposes. They're used as soil binders. They are grown as ornamentals. Then reproduction. The sporophytes bear sporangia. They are subtended by leaf-like appendages called sporophylls. In some cases, the sporophylls form distinct compact structures called strobili or cones. Then the sporangia produces spores by meiosis in spore mother cells. The spores germinate to give inconspicuous, small, multicellular, free-living, mostly photosynthetic thalloid gametophytes called as prothallus. This is very important. There you had a protonema. Here you should remember that it's a prothallus. Prothallus requires cool, damp, and shady places to grow. Also, it needs water for fertilization, which is very important. So the spread of pteridophytes is limited and restricted to narrow geographical locations. Why? They require water for fertilization. Then the gametophytes, that is the prothallus, bear male and female organs called antheridia and archegonia respectively, similar as that in bryophytes. But here the gametophyte is small. Here the dominant plant body is the sporophyte. Remember this. Look at this. Water is needed for transfer of anthrazooids, that is the male gametes, from antheridia to the mouth of the archegonium. Now, the anthrazooid fuses with the egg in the archegonium to form a zygote. The zygote develops to a multicellular, well-developed sporophyte. The zygote develops to a multicellular, well-developed sporophyte. Understand this. Most of the pteridophytes produce similar kinds of spores, that is homosporous plants. The others produce two kinds of spores, mega and microspores. They are heterosporous. Example, selaginella and salvinia. The megaspores and microspores germinate and give rise to female and male gametophytes respectively. The female gametophytes are retained on the parent sporophytes for available periods. Within the female gametophytes, the zygotes develop into young embryos. This event is a precursor of seed habit. That means the coming next type of plants would develop seeds. So it is just an intermediate between that. It is considered as an important step in evolution. Understand that. It's very similar to seeds. Okay. Not exactly a seed, very similar to seeds. So, okay, just a second. Just observe this. This is very important. This will give you an overall look on how pteridophytes will reproduce. So this is start from the left here, extreme left. There is an adult sporophyte which is diploid, which has sporogenous tissue. Through meiosis, it will produce certain spores. These spores will form the gametophyte. The gametophyte will have a male and a female gamete. They produce gametes by mitosis. Both of them fuse, will form a zygote. The zygote will develop into an young embryo. That young embryo will develop into a sporophyte. So this keeps on repeating. Okay. Then, which are the different classes? Psilopsida, Lycopsida, Spinopsida, Pteridopsida. So here, just remember the names, okay, of the classes. That's all. Now we go to the next part, that is Gymnosperms. Gymnos means naked. Sperma means seeds. That means they are producing seeds which are naked, which are not covered by ovary wall, and they remain exposed before and after fertilization. The seeds that develop post fertilization are not covered. That means they're not covered by anything. They are not covered by an embryo wall. Then gymnosperms, look at this, how they are. Look at the left one, that is a gymnosperm ovule. On the right, we have an angiosperm ovule. In the angiosperm ovule, it's covered by ovary wall, integuments, and all that, whereas it is not the same with gymnosperm. So the ovary wall and they remain exposed before and after fertilization. The seeds that develop post fertilization are not covered, they are naked. So gymnosperms include medium-sized trees or tall plants and shrubs. Gymnosperm Sequoia gigantea, the giant redwood tree, is the tallest tree species. Is the tallest tree species. So the roots are generally tap roots. The roots in some genera have fungal association in the form of mycorrhiza. Understand this in the case of Pinus. Mycorrhiza in the case of Pinus. Remember this, very important. And cycas, okay, they have small specialized roots called coralloid roots, which are associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. So coralloid roots, nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria, fungus, mycorrhiza. Okay, the stems are unbranched as in cycas or branched as in Pinus cedrus. The leaves are simple or compound. They are well adapted to withstand extreme temperature, humidity, and wind. Understand this? In cycas, the pinnate leaves persist for few years. Understand this? The pinnate leaves will persist for few years. See, these leaves are also used in making bouquets. Okay. In conifers, that is Pinus cedrus, the needle-like leaves reduce the surface area and have thick cuticle and sunken stomata to reduce water loss by transpiration. To reduce water loss by transpiration. So, gymnosperms are heterosporous. That means they have a spores which are absolutely different. So they produce haploid microspores and megaspores. Some leaves are modified into sporophylls. They are compactly and spirally arranged along the axis to form lax strobili or cones. Then sporophylls bear sporangia in which spores are produced. Understand this? The sporophylls are of two types, microsporophylls and megasporophylls. So microsporophylls, they are arranged to male strobili, that is microsporangia, and they bear microsporangia and they bear microsporangia. Whereas the microspores develop into male gametophytes. Remember this, they are not male gametes. They develop into male gametophytes, which is highly reduced and confined only to a limited number of cells. The gametophyte is called the pollen grain. So remember this, even in angiosperms, the pollen grain is the male gametophyte. Now, the pollen grains are developed within the microsporangia. The pollen grains are developed within the microsporangia. Then we come to megasporophylls. So they are arranged on female strobili, that is macrosporangiate. They bear megasporangia, that is ovules. The megasporangium mainly consists of a body called nucellus. It is protected by envelopes. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from a cell of the nucellus. Understand this? Megaspore mother cell differentiates from a cell of the nucellus. The nucellus is all about nutritive tissue. Then the megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to form 4 megaspores. One of the megaspores is enclosed within the megasporangium, so they'll fuse to form the zygote. Okay, so we'll go to the next part. So please have a look at this. Very similar to angiosperms, but the seed is not enclosed, no ovary wall, nothing. Okay, so this brings you to the end of the plant kingdom. We have angiosperms. We have angiosperms in this chapter, but we'll study in detail about angiosperms in the next chapter. That is in morphology of flowering plants and anatomy of flowering plants. Every detailed structure is given importance there. So you need not have to study much here. Angios means they are covered with a fruit wall, ovary wall. Okay, so that is the only difference. We'll look at that chapter in the next class. Okay, morphology of flowering plants and anatomy of flowering plants. That is all about angiosperms. So now we'll solve a few questions from this chapter, plant kingdom. 1 second, students. Okay, so we'll start now. Who among the following introduced artificial system of classification? Please answer, students. Who among the following introduced artificial system of classification? So it was by Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus introduced the artificial system of classification. Then the classification reflecting the evolutionary relationships of organisms is called. So it is called phylogenetic classification. It is called phylogenetic classification. Then algae can be best defined as, think and answer. Okay, yeah, they are spore producing. Yes, we know that they are spore producing. All of them are there, spore producing. Achlorophylus they have given. No, they are not achlorophylus, they are chlorophyllus. So A is gone. So then vascular they have given. Okay, so chlorophyllus we find it. So sorry. So vascular. So they don't have vascular tissue. So B and C is gone. So D is the correct answer. Achlorophyllus, avascular thallophytes. Very good. Good. Vegetative plant body of algae is. Vegetative plant body of algae is. Vegetative plant body of algae is. So very good. So no, it is 1 second, students, 1 second. What are we on? It is generally diploid, but rarely haploid. Oh, sorry. It is generally diploid, but rarely haploid. So we'll go to the next one. Then the pigments that are common for all algae. Which pigment is common for all algae? Chlorophyll A is common for all the algae. Understand this? All right. Why did this happen? Shit. 1 second. Yeah, chlorophyll A is common for all the algae. Chlorophyll A is common for all the algae. Then we go to the next part. Kelps are members of. So answer, students. Kelps are members of brown algae. So brown algae, which is brown algae? Which is brown algae? It is Phaeophyceae. Phaeophyceae. Okay. Glycogen like reserve food material is found in. Glycogen like reserve food material is found in. Please answer. Very good, very good. It is Floridian starch. Very good, Floridian starch, which is found in the case of Rhodophyceae. Then Floridian starch has a stored photosynthate in present in. It is present in. It is present in Rhodophyceae, that is red algae. That is red algae. Then, please answer this. Oh, sorry, there is some mistake. Yeah, please answer this. Chief planktons are. So here diatoms are the chief planktons. Then algae found attached to bottom soil are called. Algae found attached to bottom soil are called. They are called as benthos. Zeophytes are those which are found with soil. Benthos. 11th one, C is the correct answer. Floridian starch is a reserve food material in. So we have done this. It is in Rhodophyceae. That is red algae. Then, please answer this. Okay, we'll go one by one. Rhodophyceae is Floridian starch. For A, it is 4. Okay. So what is there for Phaeophyceae? It is laminarian and mannitol. So B, it is 2. Then Basileophyceae. So now what will happen? 4A4, B2. So this is gone. Okay. Then Xanthophyceae 3. Sorry. Basileophyceae, 1 second. Okay. This one, C, D. So A is the correct answer. Actually, this slightly out of the syllabus, so it's okay. Then Bryophytes are popularly called amphibian plants because please answer. So they grow on land, correct? They grow in damp soil and require water to carry reproduction. That is also correct. 1 second. So that is slightly correct. They are aquatic. They are not absolutely aquatic. So here B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. Then most common method of vegetative reproduction in thalloid bryophytes is. In thalloid bryophytes is. Please answer. It is by gamma cups. That is correct. Gametophyte is most developed in. Gametophyte is most developed in. Please answer. So it is very well developed in moss, that is in bryophytes, because their main plant body is a gametophyte. Then sexual reproduction in bryophytes is. Sexual reproduction in bryophytes is. Answer. It is all of the above. So it is all of the above. Sexual reproduction in gametophyte in bryophytes. All of the above. Next, in bryophytes, zygotes give rise to sporophyte. No resting period. As soon as they develop, they'll develop. So in bryophytes, diploid chromosome number occurs in. Diploid chromosome number occurs in. So the gametophyte is haploid here. So spore mother cells, no. Spore mother cells, yes, they divide to form spores which will later give rise to. Then gametic nuclei wrong, gametes wrong, spores. It is spore mother cells. Then the characteristic of gamma cups is present in. It is in Markantia. It is in Markantia. Okay. So students will start with animal kingdom now. Just give me a second. So we'll start with animal kingdom. Animals are basically multicellular heterotrophic organisms. They have the most diverse than the plant kingdom. So what do we study here? We study the basis of classification as we studied in plant kingdom. Here we are going to study about levels of organization, whether it is cellular, tissue, organ, body symmetry, germ layers, coelom, metamerism, and notochord. So we'll start with levels of organization. We can have different levels of organization. Cells are arranged as loose cell aggregates, example in the case of sponges, tissues in the case of ctenophores, coelentrates, organ level of organization and all the other higher organisms. Then the organ systems can be formed: digestive system, okay, which can be incomplete or complete. In incomplete, there is only one opening which will act both as a mouth and anus. Complete, it will have two openings, that is mouth and anus. Then the circulatory system is of two types: open and closed. If it passes through sinuses without any blood vessel, it is open. If it passes through blood vessel, it is closed. Then body symmetry. Body symmetry, it is the arrangement of similar body parts on two sides of the main axis. So they can be asymmetrical or they can be symmetrical. So in symmetrical, you have two types: one is radial symmetry and the other one is bilateral symmetry. Radial symmetry, it will give you two similar halves along any plane along the axis, okay. So whereas in bilateral symmetry, it will only give you two similar halves. Then germ layers, they can be of two types: diploblastic or triploblastic. Diploblastic, 2 germ layers; triploblastic, 3 germ layers. Then coelom, acoelomate, pseudocoelomate, and eucoelomate. Acoelomate, they do not have a coelom. Pseudocoelomate, they have a false coelom. Okay, so here the blastocele will only become the coelom. It is not aligned by peritoneal layer. Example in the case of roundworms. And eucoelomate, where they are true coelom. So here the coelom is lined by a peritoneal layer, okay, and is filled with coelomic fluid. Example, annelids to mammals. Okay, so then we look at segmentation. In some animals, the body parts or the segments are very similar, so they repeat. This is called as metamerism. Example, in arthropods and in annelids. In vertebrates, only internal metamerism is there based on certain, for example, all these spinal cord ones and certain muscles which will repeat, which will look similar. Then notochord, it is a supporting rod formed on the dorsal side of the embryonic development in some animals. Animals with notochord are called chordates, and those without notochord are called non-chordates. Then classification of animals. So we classify animals majorly on two categories. So first one with notochord, and the rest under these non-chordates will go with coelom, body tissue organization, and all that. So we'll go with all the phylum. First, we'll start with phylum Chordata. In phylum Chordata, we look at subphylum Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. That we'll do at the end. So before that, so please have a look at this. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this. So this is very important. This is very important. So levels of organization. Go to the next slide. Poriferans. So they are exclusively aquatic. They are sedentary, solitary, or colonial. Sedentary means they are fixed to a certain place. They are in one region. They do not move. Okay. Solitary, they might be single or colonial. Many of them together. Then digestive system is absent. So absent digestion is intracellular. There is water transport. So water enters through small openings called as ostia, and they go out through osculum. There is circulatory system which is absent, excretory system is absent, nervous system is absent. One of the most simplest ones. They are all hermaphrodites. Asexual reproduction by fragmentation, sexual reproduction by formation of sperms and ova. Fertilization is internal and development is indirect. That means they have a larval stage. So they have structures called as pinacocytes. Structures called as ostia, that is, which are minute pores through which water comes in and goes out through osculum. Then they have flagellated cells called choanocytes or collar cells. The body is supported by spicules and spongin fibers. They have highest degree of regenerating capacity. So example, Cycon, Leucosolinia. Okay, so remember this exception. Spongilla is a freshwater sponge, and Euspongia is bath sponge. Then we go to the next one. That is Cnidaria. So in Cnidaria, it is also called as Coelenterata. So they're aquatic, solitary, or colonial, sessile, or free swimming. The digestive system is incomplete. Okay, intracellular and extracellular digestion. The respiratory system is absent, circulatory system absent, excretion through body surface, nervous system, only a few network of neurons. So here you should know that they have polymorphism. One is a medusa stage, the other one is a polyp stage. The medusa is inverted umbrella, polyp is cylindrical. Okay. Then the tentacles have structures called as cnidoblasts, that is stinging cells, with poison-filled capsule called as nematocysts. The cnidoblasts are used to kill or paralyze the enemies and prey. Then we go to the next one, that is comb jellies or ctenophores. So the habit is marine, exclusively marine. There are no freshwater ones. They're solitary and they're pelagic. That means they keep floating. Okay, digestive system is incomplete. Intracellular and extracellular digestion takes place. Respiration is absent. Okay, respiratory system is absent. Circulatory system is absent. And excretion is through body surface. Only a network of neurons. Then reproductive system, only sexual reproduction. They are hermaphrodites. That means they have both male and female sex organs. Fertilization is external, development is indirect. Locomotion is with the help of comb plates, and they show bioluminescence, one of the exclusive characters of this kingdom. Sorry, this phylum. Then we go to platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes are also called as flatworms. So what is ganglia? Ganglia is a aggregation of nerves. So it's a bundle of nerves formed together. Then digestive system. Digestive system is branched alimentary canal with mouth. Anus is absent. In parasites, alimentary canal is absent. So excretory system, very important, protonephridia. Remember this? Usually excretory system, protonephridia, flame cells, all this is asked. Okay. Then it is amonotelic. Reproduction, asexual reproduction by fragmentation and regeneration. Most of them are hermaphrodite. Sexual reproduction, fertilization is internal, development is indirect. What do you mean by indirect development? That means they have a larval stage. Other features, unsegmented flat leaf-like body except for tapeworms. Okay, so first group showing cephalization. What is cephalization? Formation of head. Example, Taenia solium, planaria, and liver fluke. Aschelminthes, they are free living or parasitic. Digestive system, tubular alimentary canal with mouth, pharynx, intestine, and anus. Mouth, pharynx, intestine, and anus. Mouth may possess teeth. The respiratory system is absent, circulatory system is absent, excretory system is head-shaped renal cells, which are amonotelic. Then, nervous system, circumpharyngeal nerve ring with dorsal and ventral nerves. Understand this? Sexual reproduction, internal fertilization, development is indirect. Then we go to roundworm. Here annelids. In annelids, they are terrestrial, marine, or parasitic. So digestive system has a pharynx, esophagus, stomach, and intestine, and it is complete digestive system. Respiratory system is cutaneous. That means they respire through skin. Okay. Circulatory system is closed type. Excretory system, nephridia, aquatic forms are amonotelic, and terrestrial forms are there. Then nervous system, a pair of cerebral ganglia and double ventral nerve cord. Reproductive system, so earthworms and leeches are hermaphrodites. Free swimming and trochophore larvae is there. Please remember this. Then annelida. So here, what are the other features? They have a thick cuticle, locomotory organelles, setae or parapodia. Examples, earthworm, leech, aphrodite, and Chaetopteris. Okay, so we'll go to the next part. Just give me a minute. Arthropoda. So their arthropods are found all over the earth. So the digestive system is well developed. Okay. Respiratory system is through gills, trachea, book gills, and book lungs. Remember this. Respiratory system is very important here. Circulatory system is open type. Even though it is advanced when compared to Annelida, the circulatory system is slightly of a lesser type. That is, they have an open type. Then excretory system, they are either antennal glands or Malpighian tubules or coxal glands. Very important. Okay. So they are amonotelic. Nervous system, they have a nerve ring followed by a double ventral nerve cord, which is ganglionated. Then reproductive system. Reproductive system. Sexes are separate. External fertilization in aquatic forms, internal fertilization in land forms. Oviparous. Some of them are oviparous. So done. So jointed appendages, body divided into head, thorax, and abdomen. Body is covered by a cuticle. Then they undergo ecdysis, molting. Okay, that is the exoskeleton is shed every now and then. Then they undergo metamorphosis. What do you mean by metamorphosis? So they have a larval stage where the larval stage will metamorphose into an adult. So their development is indirect. So their development is indirect. We'll go to the next one, that is mollusca. So generally they are aquatic and few of them are terrestrial. Example, land snails are terrestrial. Digestive system is well developed. Salivary glands and liver are present. Salivary glands and liver are present. The respiratory system, that is the gills in the aquatic forms, and pulmonary sac in terrestrial forms. Remember this, pulmonary sac in terrestrial forms, gills in aquatic forms. Circulatory system is of open type. Circulatory system is of open type. And the excretory system, remember this, organs of Bojanus, organs of Bojanus. Then nervous system is paired ganglia and they're connective. Then the reproductive system, the sexes are separate. The sexes are separate. Development direct or indirect. Direct or indirect. The larval forms are Glochidium, Trochophore, and Veliger. Remember this, these three are very important. Glochidium, Trochophore, and Veliger. Then what are the other features? The body is divisible into head, visceral mass, and foot. Head, visceral mass, and foot. They are univalve or bivalve shells. They have univalve or bivalve shell. That is simple one shell or double shell. Then mantle and radula present. What is mantle? Mantle is a structure that secretes the shell. What is radula? Radula is a rasping organ. That is very important. Radula is a rasping organ. Examples: phyla, acanthia, pinctada, sepia, loligo, and octopus. Just remember the names. Then we go to echinodermata. Echinus means spines. So they are spine-bearing animals or spiny-skinned animals. They are exclusively marine. There is not even a single one which is freshwater. Then the digestive system is simple and complete. The digestive system is simple and complete. Then the respiratory system. The respiratory system has dermal branchiae. Has dermal branchiae or gills or papillae and tube feet. The circulatory system is reduced. The circulatory system is reduced. The excretory system is by diffusion through gills. Okay, look at this. Excretory system is only diffusion through gills and it is amonotelic. That means they live off ammonia. Nervous system, circumoral nerve ring and some radiating nerves. Then reproductive system. Fertilization is external, development is indirect, ciliated and free swimming larva. What about the other features? The body is covered with spine, head is absent, exoskeleton, they have ossicles. And very important one, water vascular system for locomotion, food capture, for locomotion and food capture. They have a great power of autotomy. That means if some part is degenerated, that will be taken off. Autotomy and regeneration. Okay, and regeneration. Example: starfish, Echinus, Echinocardium, Antedon, and Cucumaria. So we go to the next group, that is hemichordata. What is hemichordata? Hemichordata, they are a connecting link between chordates and non-chordates. So just look at this. Habitat, they're exclusively marine. Digestive system is complete. Respiration by gills. Open type of circulatory system. They have a proboscis gland through which excretion takes place. Nervous system is not present. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is external. Development is indirect. Other features: cylindrical body composed of anterior proboscis, a collar, and a long trunk. Example: belenoglossus and saccoglossus. Then we come to chordata. In chordates, These are the organisms with a notochord. The notochord is a flexible cord that runs all along the length of the organism in the mid-dorsal line between the alimentary canal. So non-chordates and chordates, it's very simple. So phylum Chordata will have Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. So Urochordata. So present, the notochord is present only in larval tail. Okay, Urochordata. Cephalochordata extends from head to tail region, from head to tail region. Then, then the last one is Vertebrata. They possess a notochord only during the embryonic period. So the notochord is replaced by a cartilaginous or bony vertebral column in the adult. So bony vertebral column in the adult. And the body is covered by test made up of tunicin. That is not present here. So exclusively marine. Retrogressive metamorphosis there. Please remember what is retrogressive metamorphosis, where the larval forms have an advanced character and the adult forms have primitive character. Usually it is the other way around. The larval ones will have primitive character, the adult will have advanced character. Here it is different. Okay. Then we come to vertebrata. In vertebrates, the notochord is transformed into a vertebral column. Vertebrata can be divided into two groups, anatha and natostomata. Anatha, that is jawless. The class is cyclostomata. And Gnathostomata can have two groups, superclass Pisces and superclass Tetrapoda. Pisces, you have Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes. Chondrichthyes have cartilaginous exoskeleton. Osteichthyes have bony endoskeleton. Superclass Tetrapoda. Tetra means four legs. So they have amphibia, reptilia, aves, and mammalia. We'll study each one in detail. The first one, cyclostomata. They are ectoparasites on some fish. So remember this, they are ectoparasites. They don't get in, they are on the surface of the fish. Example on whales and sharks and all that. Okay. So elongated body, 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits for respiration. 5 to 15 pairs of gill slits for respiration. Sucking and circular mouth without jaws. Then no scales and paired fins. Cartilaginous cranium and vertebral column. Closed circulatory system. They are marine but migrate for spawning to fresh water. After spawning, they die. Their larvae and after metamorphosis return to the ocean. This is very important. Please remember this. This is very important. Then example, Petromyzon, lamprey, and myxine, which is hagfish. Then we come to Pisces. So we have two groups. One is Chondrichthyes and the other one is Osteichthyes. Chondrichthyes, they are cartilaginous fish. We'll go one by one. They're exclusively marine. They have a heterocercal caudal fin. They are cartilaginous. They have gill slits without operculum. The skin is with plecoid scales. Teeth are modified plecoid scales which are backwardly directed. No air bladder is present. So they have to swim constantly to avoid sinking. This is very important. They do not have a air bladder. Then males will have claspers for fertilization. So at the pelvic fin, which help in fertilization. Many of them are viviparous. This is very important character. They are viviparous. That means they give birth to young ones. They are not laying eggs. Remember this. Then coming to Osteichthyes, they are both marine and freshwater. Homocercal caudal fin. Can you see here? This part and this part, both of them look the same. They are homocercal caudal fin. Whereas in Chondrichthyes, it is heterocercal caudal fin. They have a bony endoskeleton. Okay, the endoskeleton is made up of bone. They have a terminal mouth. Whereas in Chondrichthyes, it is not a terminal mouth. The mouth is present slightly away from the end. Gills, there are 4 pair covered by an operculum on each side. Then look at this Osteichthyes. Okay, so tetrapoda. We have class amphibia, reptilia, aves, and mammalia. So we'll start with amphibia. So they have an aquatic larval life. Remember this, they have an aquatic larval life and a terrestrial adult life. Some of the adults will also live in water, but they can come to land and survive. So for breeding, they require watery environment. They have pentadactyl limbs. That means there are 5 digits. Their skin is moist without scales. Then a tympanum represents the ear. Remember this, tympanum represents the ear. There is a single opening called cloaca, which is an opening for urinary, alimentary, and reproductive tracts. Okay. Then they have gills in larva, where adults will have lungs and skin for respiration. They have three-chambered heart. That is, they are poikilotherms. They are poikilotherms. Sexes are separate. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is external. Fertilization is external. They are oviparous. They are oviparous. Then the development is indirect. Development is indirect. Then example: Bufo, Rana, Hyla, Salamander. All these are the example. So limbless amphibian is Ichthyophis. Then coming to reptiles, they have dry or cornified skin, epidermal scales or scutes. Snakes and lizards shed their skin as scales as skin cast. So very similar to ecdysis that occurs in arthropoda. Tympanum represents the ear here. Limbs are of two pairs if present. Limbs are of two pairs if they are present. Three-chambered heart. Three-chambered heart. But the septum partially separates the ventricles, whereas it is four-chambered in crocodiles. Remember this, it is four-chambered in crocodiles. They are poikilotherms. They can't maintain their internal temperature. Fertilization is internal and oviparous. That means they lay eggs. And development is direct. Young ones resemble the adults. Coming to reptiles. Examples, remember at least two or three: garden lizard and all that. Then aves, presence of feathers. So they possess a beak, wings, forelimbs are modified into wings, hind limbs have scales, they have oil glands near the tail, which will help in applying oil onto the uh, feathers. Then long bones are hollow and they are pneumatic. Digestive tract with additional chambers, that is the crop and gizzard for storing food. Then the heart is four-chambered. So they are homeotherms, that is warm-blooded. They can maintain their internal body temperature. Double respiration, air sacs connected to lung, no urinary bladder. Why? Because their weight should be reduced for flying. Fertilization is internal and oviparous. That means they lay eggs. They lay eggs. Development is direct. Egg ones is the Monday adult. Then we come to the next one, mammalia. So why mammalia? Because they have mammary glands, milk producing glands. So two pairs of limbs for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, swimming, and all that. Skin has air. Mammalia is the only group that has external ear, that is pinna. Heterodont, thecodont, and diphyodont. You know, heterodont, different types of teeth. Thecodont, they're lodged in the sockets of the jaw. Diphyodont, we have two sets of teeth. Four-chambered heart and homeotherms. We can maintain our internal environment. Okay, so this is very important. So have a look at the examples for few, and you can easily solve. This chapter is one of the easiest chapters to solve. Okay, so 1 second, I'll come with questions. Please answer the first question, students. Or 1 second, 1 second. Oh. One second, students. So which of the following is considered as the basis of classification? So here, symmetry, yes, it is correct. Bilateral symmetry, radial symmetry. Body cavity based on coelom, yes. Segmentation, yes. So the correct answer is all. So all of the above is important for classification. Okay. Next, the organ system level of organization is observed in. Please answer. See, protozoans, they are single celled. It is wrong. Sponges, it is wrong. So when we look at platyhelminthes and molluscans, so we consider both of them to have a well-developed organ systems, right? So when we look at it, so usually students go with platyhelminthes. So can somebody tell me why majority of you are opting for C? It is not organ system. In platyhelminthes, it is organ grade. It is organ grade level of organization. It is organ grade level of organization. Whereas when it is molluscan, it is organ system grade here. D is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. Okay. So slowly think and answer. Platyhelminthes, it is organ grade. Okay. D is the correct answer. Then radial symmetry is seen in. Radial symmetry is seen in. Yes, platyhelminthes, it is organ grade. Please answer. Yes, correct. All of them. Very good. Coelentrates correct, ctenophores correct. Whereas in echinoderms, it is also radial symmetry, but it shows a special type of radial symmetry called as pentaradial symmetry. Pentaradial symmetry. Understand this. They have a special type of symmetry called as pentaradial symmetry. Pentaradial symmetry. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Pseudocoelom is present in. Please answer. Pseudocoelom is present in. Pseudocoelom is present in roundworms. In roundworms, annelids they are coelomate, echinoderms they are coelomate, flatworms they are acoelomate. So roundworm is the correct answer. Which of the following is true for sponges? Which of the following is true for sponges? Answer. Yes, maximum are marine and few are freshwater. Very good. Maximum are marine, few are freshwater. Sponges are characterized by. Sponges are characterized by. So they have a special type of cell here. So which is it? Very good. They are characterized by choanocytes. They are characterized by choanocytes. Gemmules in sponges are helpful in. Gemmules in sponges are helpful in. Please answer this. Very easy. Gemmules. Gemmules in sponges are helpful in asexual reproduction. They are helpful in asexual reproduction. Then, tell me, this is a question from Coelentrata. Medusa is very good. It is inverted umbrella shaped. It is free swimming. It is solitary. Usually it is single. So the correct answer is D. D is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. A radially symmetrical diploblastic. No delay. They have told radially symmetrical and it should be diploblastic. So think and answer. Diploblastic. See, think and answer, students. See, roundworm, no. Earthworm is wrong. Liver fluke is wrong. Hydra is correct. Hydra is correct. Hydra is correct. Phylum Coelenterata has remained at which of the body organization? Phylum Coelenterata. Think and answer. Phylum Coelenterata. See, think and answer, students. It is not. See here, tissue and organ system agbataytu. Okay, so D is wrong. It is not tissue organ. They don't have organs at all. So cellular is long. Cell tissue grade of organization. Cell tissue grade of organization. Then which of the following cells are the cells of difference in cnidarians? Which of the following cells? See, cnidocytes is correct, cnidoblast is correct, nematoblast. All of them are the correct answer. So comb jellies and sea walnuts are included in. Comb jellies and sea walnuts are included in. See, Coelenterata is wrong. Coelenterata is wrong. See, Cnidaria is also another name for Coelenterata. Platyhelminthes is wrong. It's actually Ctenophora. C-T-E-N-O, Ctenophora. It is Ctenophora. Okay. So next, the characteristic feature of Ctenophora is see, you know what? The correct answer is D. The correct answer is D. These are there. Coloblasts are there in Ctenophora. Okay. Then Platyhelminthes are. Platyhelminthes are. So they are not diploblastic. Remember this, they are not diploblastic, they are triploblastic. They are bilaterally symmetrical. They are acoelomate. They are not pseudocoelomate. They are not pseudocoelomate. So 14, C is the correct answer. 14, C is the correct answer. Then excretory organs of Taenia. Taenia solium. Tapeworm. See, flame cells, right? So here excretion takes place through flame cells. Protonephidia is wrong here. Selenocytes. So A is the correct answer. Then planaria, liver fluke, and Taenia are. Planaria, liver fluke, and Taenia are. What are they? They are flatworms. So, and they're parasites also. But are they segmented? So here what would happen? So sometimes we'll get confused here. Okay. But going for flatworms is the correct answer. Planaria, liver fluke, and Taenia. Correct. Okay. Then filarial wormis. 17th one. Filarial wormis. Which is the filarial worm? Please answer. Filarial worm. Wuchereria bancrofti. It causes filariasis. You have studied it in human health and disease. Very good. Then let's go to the next one. Which of the following is not a hermaphrodite? Which of the following is not a hermaphrodite? So earthworm is a hermaphrodite. Leech is a hermaphrodite. Taenia solium is a hermaphrodite. Ascaris lumbricoides. So where we see sexual dimorphism, it is not a hermaphrodite. So answer this. Annelids are. So they are not pseudocoelomate. I'll tell it to you now itself, because Ascalmanthus is only pseudocoelomate. Please answer. So they are triploblastic. They are triploblastic. Think and answer. So they are internally also segmented. Okay. So it's wrong. They're not, all of them are not radially symmetrical. Triploblastic is the correct answer. Why? All of them have to be triploblastic. See, here you can see exceptions. Example, in the case of Nereis. So Nereis is not radially symmetrical. Annelids are not radially symmetrical. All of them need not be externally segmented. They are internally also segmented. So triploblastic is the correct answer. All of them are triploblastic. No exception at all. So you should go for examples like answers like that. Animals showing metameric segmentation are, just now we did, the animals which are showing metameric segmentation are annelids or annelids. Then respiratory organ in earthworm is, please answer. Respiratory organ in earthworm is. Please answer. It is skin. Yes, they show cutaneous respiration. The biggest class of animal kingdom is. So we have asked class. We have asked class. The biggest class is Insecta. The biggest phylum is Arthropoda. Biggest phylum is Arthropoda. Second biggest phylum is Mollusca. Okay. The first flying animal on earth were. So this is partially from evolution also and partially from animal kingdom, this question. Please answer. Majority of them will give it as birds. It is actually insects. Insects. Hey, no, not sea, not reptiles at all. They've evolved. Birds have evolved from reptiles, but even before reptiles, insects came into picture. Then, please answer. Which of the following characteristic is shared by all arthropods? All arthropods. See, I'll tell you. Complete metamorphosis need not be there. Why? The cockroach will not produce a larval form. It produces something called as a nymph. So A is wrong. All the arthropods need not have wings. Okay. Some of the ants, they don't have wings. So it's wrong. Jointed appendages, arthropoda, asexual reproduction is wrong. So jointed appendages is correct. Okay. Very good. The respiratory organs of insects are. The respiratory organs of insects are. Please answer. All of them, all of the above is correct. 25th, all of them are correct. The excretion in animals, arthropoda, takes place by. Arthropods takes place by all of the above, all of the above. Then, which of the following characters does not belong to Arthropoda? Please answer. Does not belong to Arthropoda. Yes, closed circulatory system. Why in Arthropoda it is a open circulatory system? Then, Apis is economically important as it produces. As it produces both honey and wax. Both honey and wax. Then, second largest phylum of animal kingdom is, which is the second largest phylum? I just told you a few minutes back. Very good. It is mollusca. It is mollusca. So mollusca are yes, very good. They are unsegmented, soft-bodied, usually aquatic animals, and with a shell. The function of mantle in mollusca is, it is secretion of the shell. It helps in secretion of the cell. Then secretion of the shell takes place by, I'm sorry, again this question has come, mantle. What is the function of radula? Radula is a rasping organ to capture the prey. So open type of blood vascular system, presence of hemocyanin pigment is the characteristic feature of. Think and answer. Please answer. So it is both A and B. Correct. Echinodermata is wrong. Mollusca and Arthropoda. Very good. Then Glochidium larva is a characteristic of class. So it is Gastropoda. So this is not in the syllabus. It's okay. Which of the following groups of animals is found exclusively in marine habitat? Answer this. Exclusively in marine habitat. Only in marine habitat. Wrong. Fish, is it found only in marine habitat? It is found both in marine and this thing. Porifera is also wrong. It is echinoderms. It is echinoderms. So students, it's time up. I'll stop here. Okay. So we'll see you in the next class. So in the next class, I'll be taking up morphology of flowering plants and anatomy of flowering plants. Okay. I'll be taking up morphology of flowering plants and anatomy of flowering plants. So those are the next two chapters. We'll all go in an order. So morphology and anatomy of flowering plants, come prepared for it in the next class. Thank you, students. Prajwal sir. Prajwal sir, I'll end the meeting.
Anand sir? Student, leave the session. Leave the session, students. Prajwal, leave the session.